Hi, welcome to today's webinar with Grown Brilliance and IGI, a buyer's guide to lab-grown diamonds. We'll be starting in just a couple minutes. We're going to give people a moment to log in. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. We'll begin in just a minute or two. I'm going to give people a second to log in. Thank you. Hi, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Josh Sherman, the Vice President of Marketing here at Grown Brilliance. Welcome to our session, The Buyer's Guide to Lab-Grown Diamonds. When I joined GB, Grown Brilliance, I too was really trying to learn a lot about diamonds in a very short time. So I'm very glad we're able to bring you this seminar today, where we'll unlock the most important information you'll need to purchase diamond jewelry with confidence. We're really honored to be the first retail brand to partner with the International Gemological Institute, or IGI, to bring their decades of expertise to the public. We can do this because Grown Brilliance offers a completely transparent shopping experience, no gimmicks, no tricks. We only offer luxury jewelry at incredible values every day. Grown Brilliance offers only lab-grown diamonds and gemstones. We make our jewelry using 100% recycled gold. We use sustainable packaging and are building a roadmap towards sustainability at scale. We also offer today's diamond shopper many choices in how to buy, right? From pre-designed rings to our Design Your Own tool, which is among the most sophisticated in the industry, putting more choices in your hands. Now, I'm really excited to introduce today's distinguished guest, IGI's Senior Director of Education, John Pollard. John trains the world's most exacting gemologists and leads seminars for the most storied jewelers on 3 continents.
Thank you, Josh. I really appreciate that introduction. Very generous. We appreciate the invitation from Grown Brilliance. We are delighted to be here. We'd like to also thank everyone who has joined us today. First, some background about who we are. IGI was established in 1975. We are the world's largest gemological institute, operating 20 laboratories, grading diamonds, gemstones, and finished jewelry, as well as 14 schools of gemology around the world. You may have seen our diamond and jewelry reports in the showcases of many nationally recognized brands. Relative to today's presentation, IGI was the first laboratory to accept and grade lab-grown diamonds, and the first to include lab-grown diamond education in our schools of gemology. We first started grading them in 2005. Today, IGI grades the majority of lab-grown diamond output, including producers of world record-holding rough crystals and polished diamonds. As Josh said, my name is John Pollard. It's great to be here. In today's session, we're going to begin with the facts and cover the questions most frequently asked by consumers. After that, we'll provide step-by-step suggestions designed to help you confidently buy a lab-grown diamond. We have left time at the end to answer questions. You can submit those questions at any time using the Q&A tool at the bottom of your screen. Please feel free to ask questions. Chances are, if you're wondering about something, so are others. With that behind us, let's get into the presentation. The most common question, are they real diamonds? Yes, IGI can confirm they are real diamonds. Scientifically, they are created using one of 2 methods. I'm going to briefly illustrate those methods and ask you to remember the acronyms because they're on every lab-grown grading report that IGI issues, and people frequently wonder what they mean. The first method is HPHT. That stands for high pressure, high temperature. Like it sounds, this process imitates nature. It uses extremely high temperatures and high pressures that were found about 100 miles beneath the Earth's surface when diamonds were formed naturally. In this process, a carbon source, a metal catalyst, and a piece of existing diamond seed go into a small capsule. A block of anvils applies pressure, and the cell gets heated to between 1300 and 1600 degrees Celsius. That heat melts the catalyst, which in turn liquefies the carbon. At the same time, the enormous pressure applied by the anvils causes that carbon to crystallize on the diamond seed, and the diamond grows. At the end of the process, when you open the press and take out that capsule, you have a rough diamond crystal grown using HPHT, high pressure, high temperature. The other process is CVD. This stands for chemical vapor deposition. In this process, microwaves heat gas into plasma, releasing carbon atoms. Those carbon atoms rain down onto an existing diamond seed and bond, crystallizing as a new layer of diamond. As that carbon rain keeps coming, the atoms keep bonding, and the crystal keeps growing layer by layer. At the end of the process, you have a rough diamond crystal grown atom by atom using CVD, or chemical vapor deposition. Here's a comparison of diamond rough crystals formed in nature on the left, using HPHT in the center, and using CVD on the right. Once these crystals are cut and polished, they're optically, chemically, and physically identical as diamonds. Scientifically speaking, both natural and lab-grown diamonds are crystallized carbon. And most importantly, when measured, they both score a 10 on the Mohs hardness scale. No substance other than natural diamonds or lab-grown diamonds comes close to a 10 on the Mohs hardness scale. The second hardest substance we know of is corundum, which we call ruby and sapphire. Now, those gemstones score a 9, but the 10 of diamonds is nearly 10 times harder than corundum. Nothing else really comes close. Only diamonds, natural and lab-grown, fall into this exceptional category. Let's talk about analysis. Here again, they are real diamonds. They are not simulants like CZ or moissanite. Those things are made to simulate diamond properties without being diamonds. Now, IGI has been issuing lab-grown diamond reports since 2005, and our analytics were confirmed by the ISO in 2015 and the FTC in 2018. In terms of laboratory grading, when IGI began issuing lab-grown diamond reports, we chose to accept and analyze them using the same 4 Cs as natural diamonds. We did this to protect diamond sellers and buyers with clear disclosure, paired with the efficiency of using established diamond grading criteria. Since that time, other prominent diamond grading laboratories have followed our approach. As of 2020, all major laboratories grade them using the same 4 Cs as natural diamonds. Our lab-grown diamond reports are identified in 2 ways. First, the topmost description, and the report cover, which is gold rather than the blue that we use for natural diamonds. Taking a closer look at the grading report, the value setting 4 Cs information, assessments of carat weight, color, clarity, and cut quality, are located in the same place as they are on our natural diamond grading reports. And just below the 4 Cs information, in the comments section, you'll find the growth process listed, either HPHT or in this case, CVD. And looking at those comments closer, you'll find 2 more data points we're frequently asked about. This is information on diamond type and treatments. A diamond type is the scientific classification of a diamond based on chemical composition. So lab-grown diamonds in the normal color range will always be type 2, in this case, type 2A. This is further scientific evidence of lab-grown origin. And treatment detection comes from the world of natural diamonds, where we've always reported human treatments applied to improve color or clarity. Now, the majority of lab-grown diamonds have their color improved immediately after they're grown. These treatments are permanent as they take place at the diamond's molecular level. The growth process, type classification, and treatments are not something all sellers or consumers are concerned with, but in the interest of thorough grading, we include these details on the report. For a complete walkthrough of the terms on our reports, we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at International Gemological, where you'll find a grading report walkthrough video that's about 2.5 minutes long. Categorically speaking, both the International Standards Organization and the Federal Trade Commission have classified lab-grown diamonds as real diamonds. In 2018, the FTC added this statement to their official jewelry guides. These stones have essentially the same optical, physical, and chemical properties as mined diamonds, thus they are diamonds. In the interest of consumer protection, the FTC requires sellers to use terms like laboratory grown, lab created, something ahead of the word diamond to clearly delineate the product. Reputable sellers will use these terms on their product pages, as you can see done here by our host, Grown Brilliance, who includes thorough information and disclosure. So the answer to are they real is yes. Scientifically, analytically, and categorically, to put it another way, natural and lab-grown diamonds share the same DNA. Next basic question, do they look the same? Yes. In terms of refractometry and spectrometry, they test identically. Lab-grown and natural diamonds share the same material and refractive index. They have identical optical qualities. When cut and polished the same way, they have identical brightness, fire, contrast, and scintillation. In short, there's no difference between a lab-grown diamond and a natural diamond to the naked eye. We're often asked, can professionals identify a lab-grown diamond in a jewelry store, perhaps? Well, yes and no. First of all, we should state unequivocally that any loose lab-grown diamond should have a laser inscription on the girdle identifying it as lab-grown as a matter of professional transparency. There are cases where professionals can make mistakes, especially those who mistakenly believe traditional diamond testers can help them. First of all, thermal testers make no distinction between natural and lab-grown diamonds because they both conduct heat identically. Electronical testers are even less reliable. First, because they make no distinction, and second, because they can mistakenly identify some lab-grown diamonds as moissanite. These false positives regularly cause confusion for consumers who buy a lab-grown diamond in one place and take it to a jeweler somewhere else, have it tested, and the jeweler says it reads as moissanite. It's not moissanite, it's a bad test. To compound the issue, many jewelers who use these testers are not aware of this problem. This is one of the many reasons we urge consumers to use a grading laboratory or an independent jewelry appraiser who is familiar with this issue if they wish to have a gemstone confirmed as a diamond. IGI has created online explanations about this, and our institute has even issued statements for jewelers to use with their clients on this topic. That's why we thought it important to share this information with you today. I would also mention that IGI has locations in New York and Los Angeles offering affordable screening services for both loose gemstones and for finished jewelry, which may be useful to know if you ever purchase diamonds, gems, or jewelry on the secondary market or a social media trading platform. And if you'd like to bookmark the information about diamond testers, you can just Google search IGI Gemblog Tester. You'll come up with the first hit will be that article. While you're there, you can subscribe to the Gemblog for a weekly email linking to information, insight, and fun facts from around the world. I'd also take this opportunity to remind you to send us any questions at any time during this presentation using the Q&A feature. Next, we want to talk about the responsible promotion of lab-grown diamonds. There are some very attractive qualities, but there are also some myths that we need to shine a light on. First, are they conflict-free? Yes, they have no history of association with wars, rebellion, or human rights violations. You can also describe lab-grown diamonds as responsibly produced. They're grown by salaried workers in controlled factory conditions. Furthermore, lab-grown diamonds require no open pit mining, no caving or dredging. They are not environmentally invasive. However, despite some marketing claims used by lab-grown producers and sellers, you should be aware that most lab-grown diamond productions are not sustainable or eco-friendly. The growth processes, reactors, and plasma chambers require enormous energy, and the vast majority are produced with the burning of fossil fuels. So you should be cautious about terms like sustainable, green, or eco-friendly. And with that said, there are a small number of sustainable lab-grown diamond producers. SCS Global is a leader in sustainability auditing, and they've developed a sustainability certification for diamond producers. When a diamond is accompanied by a sustainability certificate, IGI will document that status on the lab-grown diamond grading report. Now, logically, there's a premium associated with the sustainability rating, but for consumers seeking the most planet-friendly products, these stones do exist. You can contact a seller like Grown Brilliance for more information. Simply put, when buying or selling, any claims of sustainability should be documented from producer to supplier to retailer to consumer. Are they more affordable? Yes. Lab-grown diamonds are notably more affordable. Your money undeniably goes farther. This is one of the most attractive attributes of lab-grown diamonds. Regardless of budget, when somebody agrees with the benefits that lab-grown diamonds bring, there's an undeniable savings aspect. They can get more diamond, or they could diversify. Clients may be struggling to decide whether to spend on a big diamond or a big honeymoon. If they agree with the benefits of lab-grown, they can have both. When you pair the savings aspect with the physical and optical qualities identical to natural diamonds, the fact that the product costs less is some great added value. Speaking of value, people ask, what about future value? Lab-grown diamond values, are they going to increase? It's not likely. They are a technology, and technologies tend to get cheaper, more affordable, that is, over time. And we've seen that with lab-grown diamonds. With that said, there is a bit of an illusion about natural diamond value. Consumers who try to sell a natural diamond over the counter are shocked that they will typically only get back around 30% of what they paid on average. Now, some sellers offer trade-in programs, which allow consumers to recover better value. But when talking about diamond value, we shouldn't pretend that a shopper can buy a natural diamond for $10,000 and walk down the street and sell it for that amount. In that sense, as we romance natural diamonds because of their forever past and their rarity, lab-grown diamonds can be romanced for their newness, kind of like a custom order. It's a forever symbol going forward that was recently made for that wearer specifically, like a custom jewelry setting or even a custom tailored suit which in many cases costs more than the average lab-grown diamond. The value, therefore, is realized in usefulness and symbolism today, not some return on investment in the future. So now that we know the facts, we thought it would be helpful to provide suggestions about how to approach purchasing a lab-grown diamond. We'll address proper preparation, cover some specifics about the 4 C's, and discuss how to leverage technology to be sure you find the product, policies, and philosophies which fit you best. As with the first section, you're welcome to send in questions about this section anytime during the presentation. Talking about proper preparation, you need to begin with your needs and those of the wearer. If it's for the purpose of engagement, start by knowing your timeline. Now, ideally, you'll have several weeks to do research and see diamonds in person. There are thousands of sellers offering different products with different policies. You'll want enough time to find the right fit. If you're months or years away, bear in mind that the prices of gemstones and precious metals tend to change over time. So use current pricing as a guideline, which you can revisit once you're ready. If you're in a hurry, you should be aware of the difference between finished jewelry and made to order. Finished jewelry includes mass-produced pieces, like you may see at the mall. Made to order sellers offer loose diamonds separately, and you can choose them on their own merits and then place them into a setting that you choose the same way. Now, this takes time, so you need to consider that when choosing your provider. While making this point, I would mention that Grown Brilliance, our host, told me that they can deliver made to order pieces in about 10 days, which is quite fast. Next, determine your budget. This is usually a balance of 3 factors: your partner's expectations, the cost of lab-grown diamonds, and your financial situation. For your partner, a certain shape preference should be noted: round, square, other. Is there a 4 C's preference, like a certain carat weight that might be expected? Is there a preferred ring style? Or do you want to put it in a very simple setting and focus on the ring style after engagement? And of course, will your partner welcome a lab-grown diamond? Correlate those expectations with the cost of lab-grown diamonds. Every choice you make, from shape to all of the different 4 C's combinations, will have an impact on value. The cost of your lab-grown diamond can be expensive or quite affordable, depending on how you balance these choices. There are no rules for how much to spend. We hear, oh, spend 2 months' salary, 3 months' salary. There's no rules. You should spend what you can comfortably afford, whether that's now or some time away. If you don't have it saved, determine what's realistic monthly, whether you wait until you've saved enough or you choose to use credit now. You'll find that many jewelry sellers offer financing terms. Grown Brilliance, for example, offers terms which could be as good as 0% for 24 months. These terms will differ from place to place, so they deserve research. Most importantly, if you and your partner share a spending philosophy, let that be what guides you. No matter how big or how small, this purchase should bring joy to both of you, so do what's in harmony with your habits. Now let's talk about the diamond 4 C's. Diamonds are assessed in each of these 4 categories, and every diamond's value is determined by those assessments. Before shopping for diamonds, become familiar with how each of the 4 C's is defined and graded. On the IGI website, in the Education menu dropdown, you can visit the Learn with Videos page, and you can see a short video overview of each of the 4 C's. Again, that's under the Education menu at igi.org. Grown Brilliance also has 4 C's information in their Diamond Education section. You can find the menu under the About menu for the 4 C's. You can also find plenty of 4 C's information online. The one thing to remember is it's not always consistent, so be sure you keep that in mind. The content on a diamond seller's website, for example, will be written to support what that company is selling. That's logical. But a luxury brand and a bargain basement are going to offer very different diamond products, so even basic 4 C's material varies in the way that it may be prioritized and presented. This is not a problem as long as you're aware of it. You'll also find websites offering free advice for diamond shoppers. The information may be helpful, but you should be aware that such sites are created for just one reason: And that's to direct you to a seller who will pay them for your click-throughs and even a percentage of your purchase. Again, this is not a problem as long as you're aware of it. If you'd really like full 4Cs information, IGI offers a series of online e-learning courses with a focus on what consumers find most important. They were originally designed for professionals. We've made them available to consumers who want to be thoroughly prepared. Each course can be finished in around 30 minutes. Once you've familiarized yourself with the 4Cs through research, it's time to see the 4Cs and correlate that knowledge. People are frequently surprised by how slight the differences between certain grades are. So even if you buy online, it's important to see diamonds first. You can feel free to view natural or lab-grown diamonds for this exercise. For either product, the 4Cs are the 4Cs. When you do see diamonds, you should make notes about the following. Find out what you or the ultimate wearer likes in terms of shape. If you're choosing a shape with length, also determine how it will be set to either run along the length of the finger or perpendicular to it. Find a carat weight in that shape which looks right. It's also helpful to note the dimensions in millimeters. Diamonds of different shapes can appear larger or smaller at the same carat weight. Even diamonds of the same shape can appear different sizes for the same carat weight, so millimeter measurements and making a note of them are your friend. Find a range of color you're comfortable with. Many people are surprised at how nuanced color differences are. For example, the color G, it's 4 steps down from the grading scale from the top, but it may be very hard to distinguish from the top of the scale unless you directly compare diamonds with each other. Same thing with clarity. Find a range of clarity you're comfortable with. Realize in your research that certain grades may or may not have inclusions that are visible to the naked eye. And then in terms of cut quality, a diamond's cut and lighting work together to produce its brightness, fire, and sparkle. If possible, observe cut quality in different areas that have different lighting to see how the appealing qualities hold up from place to place. Note your favorite combinations of the various 4Cs. Keep notes about the associated costs. Know what ranges of color and clarity you're comfortable with. While you're in the store, look at different setting styles as well. And always, if you know what your partner prefers, keep those preferences in mind. Now that you have a budget, a timeline, and a good feel for the 4Cs and notes about the range of the 4Cs that you prefer, it's time to seek out the product and the proposition which fit you best. That could be somewhere near you, or it could be somewhere quite distant. The best way to seek and find the best solution is to leverage technology. In addition to physical stores, you'll find abundant choices and settings listed online. As an example, Grown Brilliance, our host, currently lists nearly 30,000 loose lab-grown diamonds. The most sophisticated websites have searches with filters which go far beyond the 4Cs. In fact, many online sellers publish actual images and video of the diamonds they're selling to better communicate nuances of color, clarity, and cut quality. In fact, at this time, I'm going to ask our host to do a quick walkthrough to show you what I'm talking about, the way to navigate the 4Cs. So Josh, why don't you take control and let's find a 4Cs combination and setting style quickly.
Thanks, John. And just a reminder to please put your questions in the Q&A, and we look forward to answering those at the end of the session. So if we go to the Grown Brilliance website and come to the engagement ring section, what you'll see is that on the site we do offer several ways to shop. So on this left-hand side where it says view all rings, you can see all of our pre-designed rings. Now these are not preset rings, but they are sort of the most common and most popular kinds of settings that come with diamond suggestions basically tied to them. On the other side of the page, we have our design your own section where you have the opportunity to start either with a setting or start with a diamond. So today we'll start with a diamond and show just how easy it is to really hone in on exactly what you want. So here we can search from all of our loose lab-grown diamonds. So let's see, I'm gonna clear all these settings. John, what should we be looking for today?
Well, in my research, I went out and I saw stones, and I'll tell you what, anything around F or G in color is something that I'm interested in. Around 2 carats. I like the 2 carat size quite a bit. I'll take a look at the millimeters once we get into the report. And then in terms of cut, I really want to stay with the top cut quality because that's the engine that drives sparkle. So let's go with ideal.
Okay, and do we have a shape in mind first? That's, I think, our first stop,
Should have
right?
said that first. Absolutely. Yes. Round brilliant.
Round brilliant. All right, so we've got that one, and we said around 2 carats. So
Yes,
we'll
sir.
go a little bit on either side. Give us some options.
That's a great tip, shopping tip, by the way. If you find a stone that's just under one of these magic weights, like 1 carat or 2 carat or 3 carats, you can save a little bit while still getting the same visual effect. Ideal cut, and then VS1, VS2 clarity. And I say that because in your research, you will find that those clarities usually have no visible inclusions, and yet they don't necessarily have the expense of higher clarities.
Okay, you said GF, right? So if
Yes,
we
sir.
do that, you'll see that there are, in fact, over 2,200 diamonds available to us. Oh, it's not catching something here. Let's see what we can do. There we go. This way.
Yeah, that was a crazy amount.
That was crazy amount. Bring this down. Great, that should help us a little bit. All right, now we're down to only 851.
Okay, let's just go to F color then. Let's just go ahead and do that because I'm seeing the price and my budget is actually, I've got a better budget.
So here we go, starting just above 2 carats with an FVS2 ideal
over
cut.
500 stones, man.
A lot of choices.
Yeah, and I would just say to potential consumers, you can drive yourself crazy calling it analysis paralysis. Best thing to do is just start looking and make sure that the diamond ticks all of the boxes. So Josh, why don't you just pick any one of these and let's take a look.
Let's take number 2, which is an FVS2 ideal cut with an IGI certificate. It's about 2.08 carats, right? So here we are on the site. You'll see you get the same information here. This video is, in fact, a rendering, a computer-generated video that exactly replicates what's going on inside the diamond. So you can see that from basically every angle. We also offer you that top view. There is a certificate which is available through our customer service team if you want to see that before a purchase. You can make that available very easily. And then in addition, we do offer the exact dimensions of the diamond itself from both the side and from the top view, as well as give you the opportunity to see roughly what that size looks like. And this is a nice feature because you can sort of find how it might look on your skin tone as you consider the diamond for yourself or for your partner. So if this is a diamond that we like, John, should we go back and look down here just a little bit?
Yeah, let's go ahead and just take a look real quick. I'm interested to see, okay, it's got the ideal cut grade. F is the bottom of the colorless range, VS2, eye clean clarity, I would presume, especially since that video is magnified 11,700 times. They really tend to exaggerate the inclusions sometimes, the videos. So let's hypothetically, let's say that I've had a chat with the Grown Brilliance associate, and this ticks all my boxes. My questions have been answered. Let's go ahead and choose this diamond.
Choose this diamond.
And I saw there was chat available. Is that correct?
There is chat available. It's down here. And our team is available during US business hours. Great.
So I just want a very, very simple solitaire in 14K or 18K. Let's go ahead and go with 18K.
In white or yellow or rose?
In white, please, because in my 4Cs research, I said that if you have a colorless diamond, you should set it in a colorless or white mounting.
Okay, so here we go. And now what you'll see is the price of the diamond that we picked, and then the price of the setting itself.
Brilliant.
And
And you
then,
could click through the rest of the steps, and basically it's that easy to correlate the 4 C's that in your experience in physical stores like live in-person shopping, you can correlate the 4 C's to an online system that has this sophistication.
right. And one thing I'd love to point out on the website, once you create your self-designed ring, you do have the ability to sort of see what that will look like from every angle. So you do get a sense of exactly what you're getting as you put the settings and the diamonds together.
Cool. That's very helpful. Thank you, Josh.
All right, shall we jump back to the presentation, John?
Yes, indeed. We're just about through the presentation into the Q&A. At this time, let's move to the last bit. Here we go. These are some final notes before we get to the Q&A. In terms of going forward with a purchase, you should assume no risk. Free shipping, money back return periods, they've become normalized. Most jewelers additionally offer no risk inspection periods of 2 or 3 weeks or longer to be sure that you're comfortable with the purchase. That's just become an expectation. E-commerce sellers will frequently pay for shipping to you, and if you decide to return the item, they'll even provide you a label at no charge. Now, whether online or in a physical store, most jewelry pieces also come with warranties against any manufacturing defects, often for the life of the piece. And that brings us to price. When comparing prices, be sure you know what different sellers include or don't include with the purchase, starting with the length of the inspection period, the ease of return, and the warranties I mentioned before. Consider the short and long-term benefits a seller may offer, loyalty programs, other propositions. Finally, many conscious consumers are interested in knowing what their dollars are going to support. If that resonates with you, look into the company's position as it relates to social and environmental responsibility. For many people, the choice of jeweler is just as important as the choice of diamond, especially if the ultimate wearer is going to build a collection in the future. As you're sending in any final questions, we want to mention the significance of laboratory grading documentation. It's important to have independent expert assessment of your lab-grown diamond. In our industry, gemstones of similar appearance can have notably different values. And in the modern world, even gemological experts require specialized tools to detect natural or laboratory-grown origin. A grading report from a major laboratory capable of the detection and analysis that IGI makes should provide confidence in your purchase decision, as it protects both you and the seller with full disclosure. We hope all the information in this presentation is useful and look forward to answering your questions next. Josh?
Fantastic. Let's dive in. First, I just want to correct one mistake that I made, which is that the rotating video of the diamond in the loose diamond section is in fact a highly zoomed in video of the actual diamond. It's not a rendering. So those are the real diamonds that you're looking at when exploring the website. So we actually have a lot of great questions here. So let's jump right in, and I'm going to sort of take 2 of these and give you a 2-parter, right? And the first is, why do lab diamonds sometimes test as moissanite? And the second is, I'd like to have my ring appraised for insurance purposes. And if a jeweler's test might come back as moissanite, what's the best place? What's the best way to have it appraised and know for sure?
Well, the reason that some lab-grown diamonds test as moissanite on electrical testers, and it's important to remember the difference between thermal testers, which judge heat, and electrical, which judge electrical conductivity. You might remember when I went over the high pressure, high temperature, HPHT process, there's a metal catalyst used, which liquefies the carbon as that enormous heat and pressure are applied. Well, sometimes the fragments of that metal catalyst don't entirely melt. Now, when that happens, it can make the diamond actually be capable of conducting electricity. Natural diamonds are not conductive, but when you get a lab-grown diamond that may have such metal content in it, the tester thinks that it's moissanite because moissanites do conduct electricity. So that's the reason it can fool those testers. In terms of, in my opinion, the best independent appraisal, IGI offers submission to consumers. We intake at New York or Los Angeles. You can go to igi.org. We do appraisals. There are also independent appraisers. You can look up independent appraiser societies if you want to find somebody local. The most important thing is if you're going to have any loose gemstone or jewelry article appraised, make sure it's somebody who is not buying and selling jewelry. Keep those two things separate.
Fantastic. All right, let's get to the next question. And this one is, what process is considered better, CVD or HPHT?
It's a great question. They were both, and many people believe HPHT existed long before CVD. That's not the case. They were both innovated in the 1950s. What happened was HPHT became capable much faster of producing diamonds that were closer to gem quality. Understand that in the 1950s, General Electric, by the way, was the first to break through. They were producing industrial quality diamonds. And as they got closer to gem quality, HPHT was the first to really arrive to diamonds that were worthy of being set in jewelry. CVD was lagging behind for some time. Now, with that said, at present, when you're at the top of both technologies, there's no quality difference. The most amazing diamonds that are being created are going, in fact, to medical applications and scientific applications, like you can think about flawless lenses capable of withstanding thermal radiation loads and things like that. So when you're at the top of the process, there's really no quality difference between HPHT or CVD.
Great. And another question is, does the post-growth treatment hurt the human body? I've heard people say it's involved with radioactive materials, but I'm not sure if that's true or not.
There are radiation treatments. In fact, when we talk about color, we've seen at the lab, we had a 10-carat fancy intense yellow cushion cut. It came through the lab-grown diamond, HPHT. We graded it. About a year later, it came back, the identical diamond, as a fancy, vivid pink. And how that worked was a 5 MeV electron beam had been used to alter the structure, the chemical and molecular structure, rather, of the diamond in order to get that pink color. Now, the radiation that has been used, treatments on diamonds, is far below anything that would harm humans. And that was a concern, by the way. And somewhere, don't know what decade this was from, but it was long ago. Somewhere there are a number of green natural diamonds that are in a vault because the radiation used was too much, and they actually could be a problem. And they have a half-life of 100,000 years or something like that now. But no, the most treatments, by the way, apart from fancy colored diamonds, don't use radiation. And any radiation treatments, they have to pass the sniff test. They're not going to hurt a human being.
Oh, good. Excellent. The next question is whether or not there's a big difference between an ideal cut and an excellent cut. And I'd like to actually extend that to say, when you're looking at any of the 4 C's, moving from one step to the next step, how big of a difference is there? And are any one or the other a better place maybe to cut back a little bit in order to save money on the price of the diamond?
Well, let me answer the shorter question first. Cut is the one area where the grading laboratories differ in their assessments. And so, for example, an ideal cut at laboratory A may not be ideal at laboratory B, and the excellence may not overlap. So ideal and excellent, is there a big difference? Ideal is the top for those labs that use the nomenclature, so that would be the top grade. And other laboratories do not use the ideal designation, so their top grade would be excellent. So I would go to the lab website and see what the nomenclature is that they use. And if you want to stay with the top grade, it will generally be one of those two terms. In terms of the other question, with the 4 Cs is an extremely personal, answering that question and the combination of the 4 Cs, it's a very personal thing. I am a nut about the physics of light behavior within gemstones. And so for me, cut quality is a huge priority. For others, it may not be. In fact, demand for cut quality assessment in fancy shapes has only recently risen, and it's mainly due to the internet. IGI just introduced a cut quality rating for fancy shaped diamonds. The highest we go with fancy shapes is excellent, by the way. We do have an ideal designation for rounds, but that's because rounds are the most efficient shape for returning the light to the viewer that enters through the crown. So rounds have a little bit of an advantage in essentially brightness, fire, contrast, and sparkle. But as far as the 4 Cs and cutting back or going forward, some of this could be cultural. There are some cultures that really like high clarity diamonds, and there's an expectation perhaps with that. Others like the warmth of a lower color. So the higher you go on those grading scales, the more expense there's going to be, starting with a flawless D color, ideal cut diamond that is hitting one of those magic weights. And we say magic weights because prices jump disproportionately between, for example, 99 points, which is 99 hundredths of a carat, and 1 carat. A 99 pointer will not have the expense of a 1 carat based on its per carat price. So there's any number of factors. For me, I can tell you what's popular, Josh. What's very popular is that FGH color range. It's a couple down from the most colorless, and then the clarities that I identified before, VS1, VS2, or if you can find the SI1 diamond. And I know that maybe some of you have not researched these grades, so I'm getting in a little bit into the details. But the point being that some people, if they want to be more relaxed on the budget, they'll come down a bit from the very top of the scale. But some people want the biggest carat weight they can get. And so if that's the case, well, maybe they're going to go down a bit more in color and down a bit more in clarity, and even go to lower cut quality in order to hit that, whatever, 2 carat, 3 carat, 4 carat, 10 carat mark. So it's a very personal decision. And this is one of the reasons I say you must go out and you must see diamonds to understand how significant or insignificant those nuances are.
Okay, a couple of very practical questions now as we get towards the end. Can people get their lab-grown diamonds insured?
Yes, all major insurance carriers are taking insurance for lab-grown diamonds, and we're writing appraisals for that matter for many lab-grown diamonds on the regular, and we've got a number of, there's great jewelry insurers. By the way, jewelry-specific insurance, in my opinion, is the way to go. Don't put it on your homeowner's policy. There are jewelry-specific insurers who are very affordable, and in case of loss or theft, working with them, in my opinion, is a lot easier than trying to work with a more generic policyholder. I saw a question come in here that I'd love to address real quick. What does De Beers, who mines and sells diamonds, restricts the distribution of mined diamonds to keep prices high, and has a monopoly on diamond distribution, give you disintermediating the diamond market with lab-grown diamonds? I like this question because we need to bust some myths here. First of all, De Beers, which used to have a monopoly, is no longer the largest. The largest is Alrosa, and that's getting into the weeds because Alrosa is Russian, but they're still much larger than De Beers. The most important thing to understand, though, is De Beers actually was among the first to successfully grow lab-grown diamonds. And if you've ever heard of Lightbox, it's actually a De Beers lab-grown diamond product. So De Beers is, first of all, they're not the monopoly anymore, but they're actually engaged in both sides of the business. So I thought that would be interesting.
Great. What diamond shape looks the largest?
Ooh, that's a great question. Shallow shapes tend to look larger. Just like people can be different weights, or I'm sorry, it can be the same weight, but have different shapes. Some people are more round than others. Some people are more skinny than others. Diamond works the same way. So a marquise, an emerald cut, a shallow emerald cut, trilliants, baguettes, they all look larger for the carat weight. The issue with those stones is that in many cases, they don't have the sparkle factor that a shape with more depth will have. And they certainly don't have the fire factor, because the way that fire works is you need to have sufficient depth for the diamond material to disperse each ray of light entering into its spectral colors. So in terms of shallow shapes, and you can find this information pretty reliably online, if you want the biggest bang for the buck, then you're going to have something that's shallow. Whereas if you really want the traditional brightness, fire, sparkle, probably a more traditional shape like round brilliant or princess or cushion.
Great. Can you talk for a second about fluorescence? Someone asked if lab-grown diamonds have fluorescence.
No, they don't have fluorescence generally. We test for fluorescence and phosphorescence. And in the case that there is a presence of either of those, it will be on the grading report. There's a standalone grade for it. But typically, lab-grown diamonds do not fluoresce.
Okay, and then I guess here's another one. How do post-growth treatments on lab-grown diamonds vary from those used on natural stones? And are lab-grown diamonds ever drilled and filled like some natural stones?
I've not seen any drilling and filling. By the way, I'll make a distinction there too. We report diamonds. The only reports that we'll issue are for diamonds with permanent treatments. So somebody just talked about drilling and filling, and what that is with natural diamonds, they would laser drill or even physically drill into the stone to essentially remove a clarity, some black inclusion, and they would remove it. And then another step would be to fill it with a resin that has the same refractive index as diamond. The issue is that resin could come out with a jeweler's torch. So as a grading lab, we would never accept the fracture-filled gemstones. We still don't accept fracture-filled gemstones. We do accept drilled, and we do accept the color treatments. The color treatments for lab-grown diamonds they have the same basis as color treatments for natural diamonds. It's just that in the modern era, they're far more efficient in terms of their effectiveness, and there are new methods, like we were talking about the electron beam treatments. Those did not exist at the time when the first natural diamonds were being color treated.
Okay, that's great. One question was from someone looking for an elongated cushion cut, and their question is trying to understand what the table and depth should be, I guess, to maximize the brilliance of the diamond.
Okay, so there's a shorthand, and I believe we have the email addresses of the attendees. Is that correct, Josh? Or at least,
I believe so, yes.
Okay, those who've shared their email addresses, we're going to give a synopsis of this. I may include in that synopsis, in terms of round brilliant diamonds, the easiest way to say it is this. There is a gentleman named Marcel Tolkowski who, over 100 years ago, he calculated what the quote-unquote ideal, it wasn't his term, ideal proportions would be for a round brilliant diamond. And they involve 4 major measurements. Table and depth are 2 of them, and then the main angle of the pavilion and the main angle of the crown. If you think about it, it makes perfect sense, because the table facet really controls sort of the surface area of the diamond, the top of the diamond, and then the angles direct light entering the diamond either back to the viewer or let it escape through the stone, which is windowing or leakage. If you search Tolkowski ideal proportions, you can find out what his recommended proportions were. And I could rattle them off here, but it's getting somewhat into the weeds. So Tolkowski is spelled Tolkowski, Tolkowski Y, sorry, at the end. But we can include a mention of this in the synopsis that we send. Getting close to those dimensions essentially brings the best balance of both brightness and fire. Now, you can get away from those dimensions and still have a diamond that's capable of returning light efficiently. It's just that the balance of brightness may be higher than the balance of fire. Or if you go the other way, you get more fire, but you reduce the brightness of the stone. So again, Tolkowsky proportions, or getting close to them, have been rewarded by every grading system that has ever been developed.
Okay. All right. So I think we'll have just a couple of sort of rapid fire questions here at the end. And then we're going to wrap up in just a minute or so. So first, how do I find an independent appraiser locally to me who understands lab-grown diamonds? What's the best way to find an appraiser like that?
You can go to any of the appraisal societies, NAJA, which is National Association of Jewelry Appraisers. Look for these websites. ASA, the American Society of Appraisers. Those I would start with those two. I hope I'm not leaving anybody out. The other thing you could do is, if you want to contact IGI, we can, like I said, we can help you as well. So bear that in mind. As far as knowing whether the appraiser is aware of the detection issue, I would ask them. I would just call, and if you have somebody local to you, say, hey, can you tell me why lab-grown diamonds sometimes test as moissanite? And if they give you the same answer that I did, then they're certainly well aware. Do be aware, though, they can identify your material as diamond. Most appraisers will not have the ability to say that it is a lab-grown diamond or a natural diamond. That's important to understand. That equipment that takes spectrometry and some pretty sophisticated photoluminescent analysis equipment.
Okay, thank you, John. I think we'll just have one more, but first I want to thank everyone for joining us this afternoon, and particularly want to thank John for sharing all of this fantastic wealth of information and all of his knowledge. So I think the last question I have is do experts believe that natural diamonds will continue to hold their value now that there is an alternative that is growing in popularity?
I can't speak for all experts. I can speak for me. Yes, I believe natural diamonds will hold and continue to increase in value because there's dual channel legitimacy here. That's the way to say it. There's dual channel legitimacy. There are still many jewelers who really choose to only deal with natural diamonds. And there are brand new jewelers like our host here who is offering lab-grown diamonds. And it's very interesting too. What I've seen is when getting with large groups of people who are not gemologists, who are consumers, family, friends, I typically ask, I say, hey, how many people here have heard about lab-grown diamonds? What's interesting is the number of people who still have not heard of this product. And so I do believe that natural diamonds will continue to hold value for all of the reasons they've been celebrated and have been extremely popular for so many years. I also believe lab-grown diamonds are going to carve a larger niche in this industry. So that's my answer.
Great. Thank you so much, John. This has been a really wonderful presentation. We're coming up on the top of the hour. So again, thank you all for joining us this afternoon. We hope you'll continue to explore Grown Brilliance and the world of lab-grown diamonds. And remember to check IGI for all of the expert information you'll need to make sure that you're confident in your purchase. Thanks very much, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you, everyone.